In this chapter, let us talk about the Mamluks. After decades of fierce struggle between the Ayyubid dynasty and the Crusaders, including repeated battles over the city of Jerusalem, an unexpected power eventually emerged as the ultimate victor, the Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt. So who exactly were the Mamluks? Their origins are almost more legendary than legend itself. The Mamluks, from slaves to kings. The word Mamluk in Arabic literally means owned or slave. This is because the founders of the Mamluk dynasty and most of its later rulers were originally slaves. Some may ask, how could a slave possibly become a king? But in the Arab and Turkic world of that time, selecting elite warriors from among slaves was a long-standing and well-established system. Starting from the Abbasid Caliphate, the Middle East had developed a tradition by young foreign boys, raise them in military barracks, train them into elite warriors, and make them absolutely loyal to their masters. These children, taken at a young age and trained intensively, were called gulams. Most came from Turkic tribes of the Central Asian steppes. From childhood, they faced not only the harshest physical training, but also strict psychological conditioning, absolute loyalty, absolute obedience, absolute readiness to die for their master. They never farmed, never traded, and never learned any profession. Their entire life purpose was training and fighting. As adults, each one became a special forces soldier among special forces soldiers. A famous Egyptian sultan once said, "One Mamluk warrior is more reliable than 300 sons." This shows both their loyalty and their fearsome combat capabilities. The Mamluks and their historic victory over the Mongols, the only full Mongol defeat of the 13th century. The 13th century is often called the century of the Mongols. Mongol armies swept across Eurasia, destroying empire after empire. Jin, Liao, Western Xia, the Song, Khwarezm, all fell one after another. Yet the Mongols never imagined that their unstoppable advance would be completely halted in Egypt by the cavalry of the Mamluks. Hulagu's campaign and the road to war. In 1257, Hulagu Khan, the grandson of Genghis Khan and brother of Kublai, launched a massive campaign into the Middle East. He quickly captured Baghdad and Damascus, even killing the Abbasid Caliph. The shattered Muslim forces retreated to Egypt, their final refuge. Just as the Mongols prepared to march further south into Egypt, unexpected news arrived. The great Khan monk had died. The Mongol Empire required all princes to return and compete for succession, so Hulagu was forced to withdraw most of his army, leaving only General Kitbuga with 20,000 Mongol troops stationed in Syria. The decisive battle, Ain Jalut. In Egypt, real power was held by the Mamluk commander Baybars, known as the Panther. He correctly predicted that the Mongols would advance southward and decided to strike first. He marched his troops north into Syria, and the two armies met at Ain Jalut. Kitbuga, believing he held the advantage, sent Armenian heavy cavalry forward, supported by Mongol horse archers. Once again, the legendary Mongol tactics, long-range composite bows, mobile archery, feigned retreats, showed their deadly effectiveness. But this time, they met their match. The Mamluk counterattack. The Mamluks were equally skilled at mounted archery and could fight the Mongols horse to horse. More importantly, Arabian horses were taller and stronger than Mongol ponies. Mamluk warriors were larger, more heavily built, and trained from childhood for close combat. Their Damascus steel-curved swords and heavy maces were devastating at close range. The Mongols preferred to avoid close combat, but at Ain Jalut they were forced into it and suffered heavily. Baybars fought at the front lines, cutting down Mongol soldiers and boosting the morale of his army. The Mamluks launched a full assault, and the Mongol formation collapsed. Kitbuga continued to fight desperately. His officers urged him to retreat, but he said only, "I may die in battle, but I will not run." He was ultimately captured and executed by Baybars. For the first time in history, the Mongols suffered a crushing defeat in open battle. Baybars seizes power and founds the Mamluk Sultanate. Though victorious, Baybars returned to Egypt injured. He expected Sultan Qutuz to reward him, but Qutuz coldly replied, "Victory is simply what the Mamluks were supposed to achieve." Baybars grew resentful. Soon afterward, during a hunting trip, he stabbed Qutuz from behind and seized the throne. Thus, the Mamluk Sultanate was officially born. Baybars was nicknamed the Lion King, said to have one eye with a reddish tint, adding to his intimidating appearance. Ruling Jerusalem and restrictions on non-Muslims. After taking control of Jerusalem, the Mamluks were far less tolerant than Saladin had been. They imposed strict rules on non-Muslims. Jews had to wear yellow turbans. Christians had to wear blue turbans. These were clear signs of discrimination. Baybars also waged harsh campaigns against the remaining Crusader states along the Mediterranean coast. Burnings, crucifixions, walls made of severed heads, flaying. Many such atrocities are recorded. He even sent a threatening letter to a nobleman in Antioch. "If I capture your city, after seeing what I do to your people, you will wish you had never been born." The strange death of Baybars. In 1277, Baybars planned to poison an enemy at a banquet by adding poison to fermented mare's milk. But in a bizarre twist of fate, he accidentally drank the poisoned cup himself. Thus ended the life of the legendary slave king. The Mamluk dynasty lives on. The Mamluk Sultanate continued for several centuries. By the time Napoleon invaded Egypt, the rulers were still Mamluks.